Hi, everybody. Hey, I'm so excited to be here tonight and talk to you guys again. I haven't been live for a while, and I wanted to discuss all of that with you guys. First and foremost, I wanted to say thank you to all of you who prayed for me. I put a message on my Facebook and I posted that I would appreciate prayers. And I was so thankful for all the people who prayed for me, and I appreciated the prayers, and I felt the prayers, and I felt the love. Here comes some people in. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Kayla. Dawn. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Melody. So what I wanted to do, hi, Maria. I guess I could give everybody a couple minutes to come in. Hi, Lisa. Debbie, I see those peaches. I can't wait either. I'm so excited that you guys are going to bring those up. Hi, Melody. So anyway, I'm going to jump right in because I don't want to take up a lot of your time tonight. Hi, Susan Ann. Hi, there's my girl, Laura. Hi, Laura. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight was healing. I'm excited for my new series of the Amusement Park of Life. I'm so thrilled to bring that to you guys. I'm going to do it both on my Facebook Lives and also via my blog. So watch tomorrow for a blog on the Rollercoaster of Healing, which is what I'm going to talk to you guys about tonight. So recently, as I said, I had asked for prayers, and I wanted to share with you guys a little bit of what was going on with me, and because it ties right into healing, which is what I'm talking about tonight. So we're going to talk about post-traumatic stress syndrome and disorder and the recovery from trauma. As so many of you know who've read my book and have followed my story, I suffered sexual abuse as a child, and I go into that in my book. I talk about that story in my book. Because of different reasons, I didn't disclose that abuse until a couple of years ago. So my healing and my journey of healing is relatively new, and that's why I wanted to talk about this tonight, about healing and about that journey and where we go and how we get there, because I know that a large percentage, hi Linda, a large percentage of people who have weight loss surgery, I believe it's well over 60%, have been sexually abused. And so there's a lot of trauma, hi Robin, between all of us. And even if you have never been sexually abused, and it's my prayer and sincere hope you haven't been, I don't think that we go through the situation of being morbidly obese in this world and not suffer some type of trauma. So I think of us all as trees, and our obesity was our branches, and we have different branches that correlate to the different areas of our lives. But what our roots are is our heart and our soul. And so we fix our branches, but if we don't fix our roots, what's at the core of us, what's going on in our heart and our soul, then we're not going to be able to actually get our branches where we want them to be. And this is an example with my life and what I went through. So I had my branches of obesity, and I fixed that. I lost the weight. I lost 243 pounds. I've maintained that loss for 16 years. I had all the plastic surgery to have all of my extra skin removed. And so my branches were totally different, but I didn't change anything in my roots. And so what did I do? I had other branches that I took that hurt and that pain, and while the branches of my physical body had transformed and were different, I started to have other branches that were unhealthy where that pain took place. And so as a result, I just started different branches with no healing of my roots. So, and that is where my trauma was held. My trauma was held in the roots, in my heart and in my soul. Hi, Connie Stapleton. Connie Stapleton's in the house. So that's what I really want to get into, the healing that we go through, because I can tell you, healing isn't something that we magically arrive, that we get there and we're like, woo, glad that's over. It's a journey in our lifetime. It's something that we go through and that we have to keep working hard at, because it can overwhelm us at different times unexpectedly. And that's kind of what has happened with me in the last couple of weeks. And I wanted to share that with you guys because I've tried to be very genuine and very open. And I hope by sharing my story that it will help some of you who are dealing with some of the same issues and maybe some of the same trauma that I went through as a child, and that you can recognize yourself in some of what I've experienced, and maybe that will help you in your healing journey too. Because ultimately that's what we all want. We all want to get to a place of peace and happiness and not be haunted by the monsters of our past. So, hi Kim. So here we go. I was reading today several different models of PTSD and how people describe trauma. And for the most part, everybody has different models, but overall, there's a few stages that I think that we all go through and that are significant of trauma. And the first one is stage 1. And it's like we are an electrical system in our house, okay? And when we become overwhelmed by the trauma, and for me, yes, I experienced this trauma for years of my life, but what happened was I didn't address it until the last few years. So all of these stages started over for me. So we become overwhelmed. It's like a circuit breaker in our house. When it's overloaded with power, what happens? The circuit breaker kicks in, everything goes off, and it just shuts down because it's like we're in shock with it all. We're overwhelmed. We can't take that much more, and something's got to give. And that's when we shut down. We just become numb. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that way, but literally it's like you feel dead inside. You are overwhelmed by life, and everything is overwhelming. The smallest of tasks are overwhelming, and you think, am I losing my mind? Why am I having such difficulty with these everyday tasks? Because I'm overwhelmed, and we're just in shock. We're numb. So eventually, though, we begin to move to stage 2, which is where our feelings start to come back, and we can express those feelings. And I can tell you, expressing those feelings is key to working through your trauma. Hi, Misty. You said you always feel that way. And thank you, Robin. You said anxious. Thank you for sharing those, because I think it helps others to know that it's not something that they're the only one feeling. And so when we begin to express our feelings, it helps us to start to deal with some of that trauma. And my counselor always says to me, the more you feel, the more you heal. So it's perfectly fine to have these emotions and to express these feelings and to talk to your friends about it, to talk to, your counselor about it, your pastor about it. I know I drive my friends crazy. I sit on the phone and go on and on and on. I'll tell you, my friends are probably like, she's got to be the queen of healing because she is feeling it all in the last 2 weeks. And but that's how it is. And we express our feelings in different ways. And the key is that to get rid of the feelings of distress that are attached to those memories, we have to express it. For me, I write. Obviously, I wrote my book in the middle of going through all of my trauma. So whether you talk or you write, or whether you draw or sing, whatever it is you do, expression is what's key to being able to start working through that trauma and feeling those feelings so you can begin to heal. So when we're expressing, there's generally 4 types of expressions, types of expression of feelings that people can go through. And the first one is the trickle effect. And this is where people just slowly but surely feel different things and express it, and just kind of are an even keel, but they hurt sometimes. They go ahead and they just, work their way slowly and kind of passively through it. I don't have a whole lot of trickle effect in me. I'm not much of a trickle effect person, but I have a little trickle effect in me. So another type of expression that people have is like hit and run emotions and feelings. And that's where out of nowhere, they're just hit with a wall of emotion. Perhaps there's some type of trigger that brings back a memory associated with the trauma or something painful, and it just hits you like a ton of bricks. And bam, there you are, left with it. And it hurts and it's overwhelming and you're not certain how to work your way through it. So you just back away from it. It's like maybe you talked about it and had a little bit of a breakdown, but then you didn't want to talk about it again. You left it alone for as long as you could because those feelings were overwhelming to you. And that's sort of the hit and run type of expression. A third one is roller coaster. And that's why I said tonight, the roller coaster of healing, because the roller coaster of healing is where you're just kind of up and down emotionally while you're working through some of your trauma. Diane said, that's me. That's me too. I can be all over the place. I can be feeling wonderful and happy and something triggers some of that trauma. And all of a sudden I'm back to boohoo crying and carrying on and who knows what happened and on my knees begging God to let the pain stop. And that is my reality. That is how I'm working through my trauma. And we're in touch with our feelings in the roller coaster. We're driving our friends nuts, I'm sure. And just a major shout out to my friends because I have such beautiful friends who listen to me and who care about me and pray for me and with me. And I appreciate them all around. And it's just genuine. I could tell you guys that I'm healed and everything's great. And I am incredibly blessed and on such a healing journey. But there are backslides and there are days that are really hard. There are weeks that are hard. Sometimes there are months that are hard. And it's just the truth of my walk right now. And so then the fourth one, and I think that probably some of you are going to be able to relate to this fourth one, is the tsunami. And Misty just said the damage of a hurricane leaves behind us how she feels inside. The tsunami is the fourth type of expression of trauma, and that's where your emotions just come in like a tidal wave, and it's so big and so overwhelming. You just feel like you're gonna drown in the emotions and the pain and the hurt, and I feel like I'm a tsunami. I feel like I'm a mixture of roller coaster and tsunami because I don't feel anything small. I mean, I'm that girl who cries at a commercial. I cry at the commercials where they show the animals in the cages. I feel everything strong. So I feel like I'm the mixture of roller coaster and tsunami. And but eventually, even with the tsunami, when we get hit by the tidal wave of life, sort of, and we're overwhelmed and we feel like we're going to drown and we feel like there's nowhere to possibly go or no one who can understand, eventually that wave recedes and we can breathe again and we survive it and we're still alive and we know we're going to be okay. So when those things hit, that's where we are. And the tsunamis are also, those expressions of feelings are people who have had a lot of repressed trauma and a lot of repressed pain. And so it's no like shocker that I'm a tsunami of emotions considering everything. I mean, I'm kind of being lighthearted about that, but it really is true. If you've had a lot of repression of pain and emotions, then it's very likely that you'll have those tidal waves of emotion. And so Melissa said she feels like either completely numb or in roller coaster and tsunami at all the time. And I understand that. Trauma is really, really something that you have to really want to work through and to get through. And it takes so much effort to get through it. And so the next stage that we go into, though, and this is one that's really crucial, is constructive action. And that is where we begin to get some of our control back. And the thing is that when we can take constructive action and we can begin to start doing things that are proactive for us, no matter how small they are, what that does is that counteracts that feeling of powerlessness that is the identifying mark of trauma. And so it doesn't matter how small it is. I write lots of letters. I write letters to people who I will never send them to. I write letters to people who are dead. I write letters to people who I feel maybe missed the mark in being able to have helped me and stopped some of my pain. And I journal. And you guys know I blog. My blogs, when you get a blog in your email box from me, that's generally how I've been feeling. Although in the last couple weeks here, when I've been kind of off of live and not interacting as much on social media while I was dealing with my tidal wave and my tsunami, I wrote a lot of blogs. And some of them are lighthearted, some of them are deep and emotional, but I think that you guys will be able to relate to all of them, because what they are is what I always try to be, and that's 100% genuine. So you got to have a way to express those things and a way to take some action. And I think it's really important to say here that no gesture is too small. There's all kinds of trauma. Perhaps you had trauma. A really big one that I can think of is like the World Trade Center in 9/11. The entire country was traumatized by that, but the people who were there and witnessed it and lived through it obviously had a level of trauma that the rest of us didn't have. But what did people do? People gave blood. People helped the rescue workers. People did things for the police and the firemen. And those were actions. All those things took away some of that powerlessness that we felt as a nation when that happened to us. And so I think that's a really good example of how we can take small actions that give us a tiny bit of control back. And it's so important to get that control back. It's so important to be able to do that as we're trying to work through our trauma. And so I think it's important to remember also that stage 2, which is all of those feelings, and stage 3, which are the actions that we can take, those two stages really go together. Because once you're feeling things and you're being honest and open about what you're feeling, and then you start taking actions, the feelings combined with the action become the engine that propels you forward in your healing, out of the trauma, and starting to get to a better place where all those branches of your tree are going to be feeling healthy and looking good, and you're not going to be branching out into other things that are really unhealthy for us. So stage 4 then is our reintegration back into life. So we start feeling better, we start taking those actions, and as a result, we start to embrace our life more, and we start to be able to enjoy the things, and we start to be able to not have as many emotional tsunamis that overwhelm us to the point that we have to be like, time out from life for a minute. Because I think we've all been there. I think we've all had those moments where we were like, I literally can't take one more thing. I know I've had those moments. I've had those moments where I've just literally begged God to please stop the rain in my life. I wrote a blog about it a couple of weeks ago, talking about when will the rain stop. And so I just want to share that with you guys, because I think that it's so important for you to know healing is a process, and it's not like a test. You don't get a final exam in healing and all of a sudden A+, you've passed, now you're done healing. It's just not the way it works in life. It's not that simple. But in those times of crisis, if we really work on our healing, I read this today in a Psychology Today article. If we can really work through and during those crises and the trauma, we can learn at rates 100 times faster than we typically learn and change and grow in our life. 100 times faster. And it's a deep and profound learning. It's the kind of learning that changes lives. It's the kind of learning that gives us new values and new morals and a new appreciation for life. So what they actually called it this in Psychology Today, and I loved it. They said we need to embrace being in the trauma tribe and have the courage to be able to work through our trauma and to be able to hold each other up and understand this is what we're going through. And so my thing tonight is I've shared my healing journey. I've shared a lot about myself. If you haven't read my book, I would really, really encourage you, read the book. It's such an emotional journey. It doesn't tell you how to lose weight. It doesn't tell you how to keep the weight off. My book is about the emotions on the inside and how if we don't heal those, we're going to end up in trauma and we're going to end up in crisis and we're going to end up doing things that we so regret. And then we're going to have to heal not only from the original trauma, but from all the mistakes that our self-destruction takes us on along that way. So I'm challenging all of you, become a member of my trauma tribe. Work through this with me. Work through this together. We can all support each other. We can all hold each other up, and we can all help each other walk this path in life that's not an easy one to walk. So it takes a lot of courage to be there, but we come out stronger, we come out better, we come out smarter, and we come out knowing that every minute that we have on this planet is a precious gift that is denied to so many. There are every day I tell myself, you know what? You might have suffered horrors as a child. You may have gone through some really difficult things in your life. But right now, 100% there are people out there who would give the right arm to trade places with you. And I get that. I get that in the fiber of my soul. I get it. That there are people who went through worse. There are people who are still going through it. And my message and my whole mission in life is to help people who are hurting, because I was one of them. I'm still one of them. And if I can share someone else's burden, then Nani always said, a burden shared is a burden divided. And isn't that really why we're all here? I mean, isn't that really what it's all about? I can tell you guys, I was a hospice grief counselor for a couple of years. And I held the hands of hundreds of people as they took their last breath. And not a single one of them ever regretted the things they did. Everybody regretted the things they hadn't done, the chances they didn't take, the people they didn't help, the love they didn't share. And that's not who I want to be. When I take my last breath, I want to know I left it all out there for you guys. Okay, I don't want to ugly cry on Facebook Live, but I want to share my heart and soul with you guys. I want to share my powerful faith and my belief that God will always open the doors that I need and that every one of you need, because we are all in that tribe. We're all in the trauma tribe. None of us have been immune to pain. So please reach out to people that you know are in crisis. That's an incredibly powerful action that you can take to help people. Reach out to me. No one sends me a message that I don't respond to. It might take me a little while, but I respond to everybody. And I do have a lot of things on my plate, but I still have made a promise that I will never be too busy to try to help people and to understand when someone else is hurting. So I'm sure we all can think of times that we can say, I wish I would have helped that person, or I wish I could have done more. I knew they were suffering and I didn't. And so going forward, I think we all owe that to each other, to help each other, to take care of ourselves first, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else at all. And, I did a giveaway in Bariatric Women's Support this past weekend when they did their 60,000 members. And they said, what do you want? Do you want somebody to write how they define their pretty or when they feel pretty. And I said, no. I said, I want people to write something that I can pray for them for. And I sat and I prayed for every single person. I read what their prayer request was, and I prayed for every one of the people who wrote a prayer request, because I just feel like if someone has a prayer request, then who am I to not ask for it for them? So anyway, I just want you guys to be in my tribe with me. Doesn't matter what your trauma is. Be in the trauma tribe. And if you feel like you are one of the lucky people in the world who has never experienced any trauma, that would be a person I can't imagine, because I think we can't live and not experience some type of trauma. But if you're one of those people traumaless, then help people who are hurting, help people who are suffering. We can all help each other. We can all hold each other up. And, I'm so thankful that God holds me up. And I'm telling you guys, I write this in every single book that I send to people. I tell them all, trust God. He will open every door you need, and He will. And He will see to it that you get through the doors you need to. And I tell people all the time, I didn't have the money for my bariatric surgery, but I got in there. I didn't have the money for my plastic surgeries. God opened those doors. And God opens the doors for me continuing. And you're every bit as special to Him as I am. Every one of us is that special to God. So embrace it. Be in the tribe. Be in the tribe with me. Be in my trauma tribe, and let's help each other get through it. I pray God will richly bless every single one of you. My heart and soul are with you in your journey, and reach out to me anytime, because I absolutely will respond. So, and if you order my book and you order it from my website, I will sign it for you, and I will send you one of my free sashes that says, I'm so much more than just a pretty face, because each and every one of you is. Don't ever, on my deathbed, I'm going to say that I hope that I was able to rid the world of that comment. You have such a pretty face. And all of you who have walked this walk with me know exactly what I mean by that, because it is not a compliment. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining me tonight, and have a beautiful night.